Welcome to the final boss. Today I played an international master in the game 9 of my recap series in the Cambridge Open, a chess tournament that I played in England. Here I have the black pieces against an international master who has 24-31 and recently made a comeback to chess after 5 years. My opponent usually goes for d4 things and went d4. I went d5 and now knight f3. Knight f3 is what they usually play. I go knight f6, and here my opponent usually goes for a London system. Actually usually goes for a London system on move 2, but didn't. So I'm a bit confused by the move order, and now I'm very confused by the move order because c4 is played on the board. And we're not at all playing a London system, even though this tournament my opponent played London system things twice. I want to transpose to a triangle system, so I want to go like this, and then I can find comfort in knowing the theory. But once again, after knight c3, I go e6 and bishop g5, and I am completely lost. This is like a torre attack or a Trompowsky, but delayed into the, I don't know. Or I can take here, go into a Noteboom variation. If you don't know what a Noteboom is, like I'm speaking gibberish, and go into a Botvinnik system from here, but I just don't know this enough to go into it. And it's just like, my opponent has brought me into murky waters that I don't know and that I'm confused by already on move 6. Crazy. So I develop, oh no, I don't develop naturally. I don't develop naturally at all. I go queen b6. It's a strategic thought. The bishop is off of this b2 pawn, so coming here. And so I want to just attack this and hinder kind of this weakness on b2. It's such a bad idea because white can not only defend this with queen c2, but can like enlighten their own position. So it just didn't work. So my opponent played c5. And I looked a little bit at queen takes b2 things, and it looked pretty bad for black. It looks like my queen's getting trapped, and I didn't want to go for any of that, so I went for queen back. And for me, I just like lost a time, but also maybe I overextended this pawn, but there's more a chance of the former statement being true. b4 played, and now I go h6. The bishop goes back, and this bishop is so strong along this diagonal with these pawns just hinting at these squares that I said to myself, I established for myself, I absolutely need to take that bishop off the board. So I go with, again, anti-opening, anti-positional, anti-everything. g5. Bishop back to g3, knight h5. Like literally chasing this bishop out of the opening. The bishop either gives itself on b8 or waits to be taken, or plays what my opponent played, which is very smart. Bishop e5 first, so I create a small like dislike for myself in the position in which my knight can't go back to f6 now. So let's say on something like g4, I'd have to consider this or this. Thankfully on g4 I had knight f4. Queen c2, and this also illustrates why bishop e5 is such a beautiful idea, because on f6, now this diagonal is open and weak for a threat. So my opponent can now develop and threaten queen g6 check. I played f5. At this stage in the game, although I only developed 2 pieces, it's only just like a minor advantage for white. Better was after takes to go e3 and then g4, and that's way better for white. But okay, I go f5, and then after g4, I have the opportunity to equalize with knight f6. Knight f6 is better than knight f4, which is what I played in the game, because knight f6, let's look at that line. After h4, I can take with the knight, whereas on knight f4 and h4, which was played in the game, I can't take with the knight, and I can't take with the pawn. If I take with the pawn here, knight e5 is absolutely devastating, threatening e3, and yeah, I'm much worse in this position. So, very nice thing that I missed here, very interesting idea. h4 threatens to take and win my rook, so I play knight g6 defending my rook, and now e3 is played, and now I have the option between bishop g7 or queen f6. Comment down below in the YouTube video what you would rather play, bishop g7 or queen f6. If bishop g7, I defend my rook a second time and threaten this e5 things. If queen f6, I defend my rook another time and I threaten e5 things. They are very similar moves, but one is a little bit better. And you will know which one is best by looking at what white has in this position. Upon queen here, which was played in the game, white has bishop d3, which was played. White has takes, and on e takes, white has queen h4 attacking this and attacking this because the pawn is pinned, which is really creative by the engine. And if I play bishop g7, my queen stays on d5, so that after takes, queen a4, I just go a6, and my queen defends this. It's just so stupid. But it makes a difference. So I play queen f6. I don't know this, of course. It's so hidden behind the scenes. Bishop d3 is played. I go with bishop g7 now, and now we're back to normal, I think. Takes on g5, h takes. My opponent has a small advantage after castles, but plays this odd rook g1, giving me the full file, which is very thematically good for black usually, or for the person with the file, and I was very happy to see this. I have rook h3 in this position. Again, rook h3 is so good by knowing about this resource of queen a4, which I didn't know this whole game. I saw queen a4, but I didn't see with the knight takes d5 things. I saw queen a4 and I was always gonna go a6. Rook h3, either you move your knight, which would be kind of terrible because I have e5 and I'm storming the center and it's amazing, or you have queen e2 and your queen is off of this queen a4 possibility in the future. So that I missed. Instead, I played still a very dynamic move, knight a4, h4, which is a little bit worse, but still equal in this position. I found equality, first of all, in this game. From a hopeless opening, I found equality. I salvaged knight takes, rook takes, take here. And so here, if I take back, there's queen a4, threatening this and threatening this. And so here, the black pieces have to find a positional masterpiece. Not taking back this pawn, in fact, sacrificing a full pawn by not taking back, but playing e5. e5 has per intent of attacking d4 here, and also threatening e4 by taking this. Insane move. If you take in, I take and I threaten this knight, rook c1, and then I go bishop f6. Defending my pawn, defending this pawn against the queen a4 resources, and eventually, you know, I'm threatening b4 here. So eventually you have to play b5, and then I can develop my pieces, and eventually we get a nice position as the black pieces, like a really, really nice position. And I was happy to not find this. I played takes. I played takes because I'm not aware of my opponent's resources. Keep in mind, it's the 9th round of a 9-round tournament. We have just played 3 double rounds, and I've had 5 hours of sleep in the consecutive past 2 nights, and that really hindered, I think, my thinking on the morning of. So lesson learned, having good sleep, prioritizing good sleep during a tournament, even though you're prepping less, is really optimal. And so I will make that a possibility for myself in the next tournament, because if you sleep more, I believe, you are more patient. If you're more patient, you look more at your opponent's pieces and threats. You're more empathetic to your opponent. And so you can see more for your opponent, which means you're a better chess player. And so I was not a good chess player on this day. Queen a4 is played, threatening these 2 pawns. I only saw this for like 8 minutes, I only saw this pawn being attacked. I swear to you. a6, I completely blunder knight takes. Here, a better move. Oh yeah, so frustrating. Queen a4, let me take it all the way from the top. Queen a4 threatens this. I was looking at rook takes d4 for probably the longest time, 8 minutes. I calculated this. It's a positional sacrifice in which I take 2 pawns and win back a minor piece. I first looked at rook c1 to defend for white. And then I thought, queen takes d3, and I'm gonna win this. White has only 1 move to defend, which is rook g3, hard to find. But then I came up with a better move for white to defend, rook d1. And here I take this with check, but after king f1, this king is entirely safe, and I don't have much. My pawn is attacked. I have to go like g4, but I was looking at more like attacking things like f4 here. But this, I looked into this and then rook takes g5 check, check, and then this, and I have nothing here. Like really, like not much. So g4 is the move, sacking the pawn, and then bishop here, and I have a pawn and a bishop for a rook, and it's pretty equal actually, which is kind of mind-blowing. And I failed to evaluate this. I failed to find g5, if I'm being honest. I only looked at f4 with these things going in for the kill, but going in for the kill does not work here. You just have to play the material with bishop e5. So I end up not going for this, and after thinking about that for 7 minutes, for 30 seconds, I end up thinking about, okay, I'll go to my plan B, and I play this extremely quickly, failing to realize altogether that there's knight takes d5 in this position. And after knight takes d5, queen back to d8, and now knight b6. And I'm down a pawn, and it's really not obvious. This sacrifice does not work anymore. The sacrifice, I overall had evaluated that it was not good initially. It was not good. It gives a small edge to white, but it's actually the best move in the position all the way over here. Given that the knight is threatening d5, this is the best counter I have, which is wild. Knight b6. Now I go like bishop e6, develop my bishop, castles. I have to salvage and counterattack with rook h2 here. I have to. Rook h2, queen c2, queen f6 still gives some little drawing chances to the black pieces, but I played king f8. It's just too slow. I was very scared of d5 here. But after rook h2, d5, queen f6, and there's nothing to be afraid of. So king f8, bishop c4 is played. I trade down and I go rook h2, threatening this. Too little, too late. Queen c2 threatening my pawn. And I play this too fast under time pressure, queen d5, which just lets go of this g5 pawn, and after rook takes g5, it's like completely over. Like I can't even defend this for the sake of me. And I resign my second game against an international master this tournament. All in all, I won 5 ELO from this tournament. Now between us, that is very poor. I intend to win much more rating per tournament, but it's a lot of learning lessons, it's a lot of blunders to learn from, and it's a lot of theory to learn towards. And these games are all online for the rest of time. So people will be preparing against these bad openings of mine, and I'll be better prepared in the next rounds, in the next games of my life, and a lot of excitement to look forward to. My next tournament, I will be streaming every single game of that tournament, and I will be having a commentator for every one of those games. If you want to commentate my chess tournament games in Reykjavik, which is the biggest open tournament coming up in the world, you are free to do so. Try to find me in the DMs on Instagram or find my Discord and DM me there. I will be selecting a few commentators, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, to commentate my games in the Reykjavik Open that I'm streaming entirely on Twitch exclusively. I will be also making the recaps, the sweet, sweet recaps on YouTube as always. Thank you for being here along this journey with me. This was my 50th Over the Board tournament game since August 2023, and we're gonna do 50 more, and 50 more, and 50 more, until we get those titles. Thank you so much for encouraging me on this journey. Have a wonderful day, and I'm sending you a ton of love.